Hi there and welcome back to my channel. Now this video is going to be about a single recipe that you can use any oil in without running it through a soap making calculator. I know the soap making police are going to be on top of me in seconds, so trust me, this specific recipe I have run so many different kind of oils in so many different ways and ratios through the soap calculator that I felt like a soap calculator. So this is not going to be the best soap that you've ever made. This is a soap that is intended for people that is in off-grid situations or people that is in rural Africa. This is actually what I developed the recipe for, is that if I teach it to people that is in rural Africa, they do not have fancy oils. They make use of what they have. So this recipe is just supposed to be able to clean and to wash away germs. So the one batch is going to be maybe nice and foamy, and the next batch a little bit more, less foamy. Some soaps might come out very hard. It depends on what kind of oils or fats you're going to use. But as long as you stay away from waxes, this recipe is going to be a safe recipe. It's not going to be caustic. It's not going to burn your skin. Yeah, trust me, you can go and you can try it. The soap makers that are seasoned soap makers, go and try any kind of thing with this and you will see the only thing that can happen is the super fat will increase. I've got a cow that's not happy in the background. Don't know if the microphone is picking it up, but apologize for that one. But anyhow, so this recipe is really, it's a safe recipe. You can use any kind of oils and fats and butters in it, as long as you stay away from waxes, because wax use very, very little caustic soda. So then you might end up with a caustic soap here. But as long as you stay away from waxes, then you will be fine. So I'm actually quite excited about this because this was formulated for rural Africa, for grid down situations. We are in South Africa. It's a sunny South Africa, but we have electricity problems. So those that are in South Africa will know that we are on stage 6, between stage 4, 6, and they are talking about stage 8 load shedding. The higher the stage, the less electricity we have. On stage 6, we have 2.5 hours, down 2.5, then another 2 again. So it's 2, 4, 6, 7 hours a day that we are off. Some of the days, the longest that we've been off at this moment was 12 hours a day. So a grid collapse is a possibility. It's unfortunately one of those things. So this recipe is for those kinds of situations. As long as you have some kind of oil or fat in your house and caustic soda, you will be able to make soap. So yeah, just a little bit of background. I've been gone for nearly a year. I apologize for neglecting you guys. So yeah, a lot has happened. We moved, we were sick, we got the COVID after we skipped it for 3 years. We're quite sick, we recovered, so we were fine again now. And then the channel was hacked. So I apologize if you received a notification for some weird, really weird videos. Luckily, I've got people in South Africa that's got my number, so they could contact me quickly and tell me, Ansa, there's something weird going on in your channel. So I took down the videos, sorted everything out, had to, yeah, YouTube, they can scrap the whole channel for stuff like that. Luckily, I still got my channel, I'm still here. But the motivation to actually just get my little stuff together and make another video was those people that contacted me were actually excited because I'm posting a new video, and then they were disappointed because it wasn't me posting new videos. And all of them tell me, you know, they were so excited there's something new. So I apologize for neglecting you guys. Let me show you how to make this soap. This is something that you can keep in your folder, in your file, for situations where you might not be able to get to a shop, where you might not be able to buy soap. As I say, if the grid goes down in South Africa or any other place in the world, you know, even with the storms and stuff, if there's a natural disaster or something and you don't have Wi-Fi, you can't do EFTs, you can't withdraw money, there are situations that could happen that you actually really will have to be able to sustain yourself. Now, this is one of the things here on the farm. We are moving more to sustainability, so I'm dabbling with solar ovens and all kinds of things. So that's also that kept me busy, and yeah, didn't do the videos. And I must say, I tried this morning to set up my table. I don't have the correct lighting anymore, so apologize if it's a little bit darker. I think I've got it sorted out, sort of. So, but not going to keep you any longer. Let me go show you how to make soap. Easy soap, one recipe, any kind of oil that you have, even used oil, if you want to believe it or not. Okay, safety first. You're going to need some gloves and goggles. The reason for that is not because everything is going to explode and boil over. If you follow the correct procedures that I'm going to teach you, then you're going to be safe and everything is going to be fine. But accidents do happen. Sometimes you can splatter or spill something. Caustic soda is a very strong alkali. It will give you a chemical burn, and if you add it to the water, then it will increase the water temperature from room temperature to boiling point, very close to boiling point, in a matter of seconds. So it can be very warm as well. Make sure that you have a well ventilated space. Make sure that you're not going to breathe the fumes when you add the caustic soda to the water. It's going to be about 20 seconds that it's going to release some fumes. What I usually do is I add the caustic soda to the water, mix it a little bit at arm length, and then I step away for 30 seconds, and then when I come back, the fumes are gone, and yeah, it's pleasant to make soap. Breathing the fumes, not so pleasant. Okay, next thing, you're going to need a scale. Now this scale can measure in 2 gram increments, 1 gram increments, doesn't really matter. We are working with rounded numbers. It's 800 grams of oils and fats. It's going to be 200 grams of water and 100 grams of caustic soda. So very straightforward, no problem there. Any kind of scale that you've got, doesn't matter if it's an electronic one or if it's one of the older models, anything that you have. Then you are going to need containers to work in. Now the material these containers must be made of, you can use plastic, number 2 in a little triangle or number 5 in a little triangle. So number 2 and number 5 plastics can withstand the caustic soda, they are fine. Stay away from the number 1s. I've stored some caustic soda in a Coca-Cola bottle once, and trust me, to mop up or to try to clean up acoustic mess, not fun. I don't want to repeat that ever in my life again. Something else that you can use stainless steel. Stainless steel is very nice to work with. Some people use glass containers, but I tend to stay away from them. Because the temperature rises from room temperature to boiling point in a matter of seconds, there can be a thermal shock, glass can crack. So I tend to tell people stay away from glass, stay with plastic or stainless steel. As I said, number 2 plastic or number 5 plastic. Just check at the bottom of the container. There should be a little triangle with a number in there. And then the next thing, you're going to need something to mix your mixture with. So again, the materials that you can use there is stainless steel, plastic, or even silicone. I've got a silicone spatula. I love to use it simply just because you can scrape the very last little bit of soap morsels out of your pot and nothing is going to waste. So that is something else that you're going to need. Then you're going to need your ingredients. Okay, you're going to need caustic soda. Now this ingredient goes by many different names, and it's confusing. In the beginning, I nearly gave up soap making. I'm talking about more than 10 years ago. It's a long time ago. But I thought that you need caustic soda and sodium hydroxide. It's the same thing. Caustic soda, lye, sodium hydroxide, NaOH, all of those things are the same thing. What kind of caustic soda can you use? Any 100% caustic soda. Sometimes they will label caustic soda drain cleaner as well, but as long as they call it, as long as it's 100% sodium hydroxide, it's fine. Some of the drain cleaners got aluminum filings in it. That causes an extreme heat reaction. So, but you will see it. If you open a container and there's little silver specks in it, stay away. Don't use that for soap making. Can't use that. Then you're going to need liquid. Now, I'm going to do this one with water. You can actually use tea as well. So if you have herbs or herbs, If you have herbs that you would like to use in your soap and you have it available, just steep it as a tea, let it cool down to room temperature, and then you can use that herbal tea or herbal liquid in the place of water as well. So, but in this recipe that I'm going to show you here, I'm just going to use plain water here. Then you're going to need some oils and fats. Now with these oils and fats, any kinds of oil, any kinds of fat, just no waxes. No beeswax, no soya wax, no canola wax, no waxes. It's just if you skip the waxes, then this recipe is going to work out just 100% fine for you. Now you can use animal fats as well. Now the ratio or the different kinds of oils and fats in your soap is going to influence how your soap comes out. Coconut oil is a very bubbly and cleansing kind of soap. Your sunflower oil is a very moisturizing oil for soap. It gives you a very moisturizing soap, but it's very soft. And if there are free fatty acids left, your super fat, that is the oils that's not going to become soap, they can go rancid. So with this recipe, please just make 1 kilogram. This recipe is for 1 kilogram. So stay with that. Do not make more of it. I want you to use it up before you make the next one. Just for in case there is some free oils that can go rancid quickly, you don't want orange spots on your soap. So, but the best thing is usually to mix and match between different oils and fats if you have it available. If you have some tallow and you have some sunflower oil and you have some coconut oil, go 30 or 33%. Then it's going to be a quite balancing soap. If you don't have any of those other oils, or you only have a single oil, if that's all that you have and you don't have any soap, this will clean, it will wash away germs, so it's going to do what it needs to do. Okay, then you're going to need a mold to pour your soap batter in. Now this mold can be a milk carton. I'm going to use a milk carton in this demonstration. You can use silicone. You can even use any container, but soap sticks to glass. Soap sticks to hard plastic. If you ever made melt and pour soap, glycerin soap, that's different. They release very easily from plastic. This kind of soap that we are making, it sticks to plastic, it sticks to glass. So you're going to have a very hard time to get it out of anything that is enamel or glass or plastic. If you have a container like that, just line it with a plastic bag and pour it in there. Then you're going to be fine. You can even use a shoebox. You can line a shoebox with plastic and then you can use that as well. Okay, first we're going to gear up on our safety equipment. So I'm going to put on my glasses and my gloves. Okay, this usually is a struggle. I'm getting better at this. I've got another pair of gloves that is more like garden gloves that's coated with rubber that can also work. This looks nicer for the camera, right? So it looks nice and neat and new. Okay, then I'm going to take my largest container where I'm going to mix everything into it at the moment. So I'm first going to switch on my scale. Okay, I bumped my camera a moment ago, so I apologize. Okay. It is on 0.0 at the moment. Then you're going to add your container and then you're going to press stir again. And make sure that it goes back to 0, because if you're going to put your container on your scale and you don't zero it, then you're going to measure the weight of your container as well, and then everything is going to be off. Now this container of oil is actually where my poor channel suffered a standstill last year. I made a master batch and we went on holiday, and I was planning to make a video in each stop that we're going to make and post that for you, and then I stole all my equipment out of my car. So this is now a year old. It is a mixture most probably from castor oil, and there will be coconut oil in there, and I'm not sure, I think there might be olive oil in there. I lost the recipe. So this is perfect for this thing, that I can actually use this up. We're going to need 800 grams of oil. So I'm just going to add some oil here. We are on 2, 3, There goes 400. All your oils and butters and fats must be at room temperature for this recipe. I've got some tallow here. You want it to be squishy. It must be soft. So I'm just going to break some of it up here. The method that I'm going to teach is the heat transfer method. So just to show you that, there I'm just going to add some tallow there. There's definitely no tallow in that container. A little bit more. I like a hard soap. We can even add a bit more there. The reason why I squish it up, the heat from the caustic soda and water is going to melt this. So if it is soft and room temperature and yeah, squish it, then it's going to be easier for the caustic soda to melt it. We are on 566, so let's top it up to 800. 80, 90, 800 and a tiny bit, 802 grams. 2 grams is not even half a teaspoon, so it's not going to throw everything off. So yeah, I've got my fats. I'm just going to make sure the fat that I've got in here, I'm just going to break it up a little bit. Again, I'm using a stainless steel fork here. Take that one off. So I've got my oil ready there. Now I already pre-measured my water. Otherwise I have to run up and down between the tap and here. You need a container to weigh out your lye. Now I'm going to move this forward because I want to teach you a trick. Just going to zero it again with my container. If you open your container with your lye in it, what I do is I open it with the lid between me and the opening. The opening is on this side. So the reason for that is there is some fumes that comes out of it. If I do that, then the lid is sort of like a barrier between me and this, and I'm just going to scoop it out. So we need 100 grams of caustic soda here. 40, 60, 93, and a little bit more, 7, 8, 100 on the dot. Close your container. Make sure that you close it properly because it will draw moisture into it, and yeah, then it's going to be a mess. Okay, so I've got my caustic soda, I've got my 200 milliliters or grams of water, and I have my 800 grams of fat here, and oils and stuff. Just want to put the scale away. I have my mold ready. This is important because when your stuff comes to trace and you have to run around for a mold, it can be a little bit hectic there. Although we are using a method that is actually slow, and you will have plenty of time there. Okay, so we've got our water and we've got our caustic soda, lye, sodium hydroxide, all the different names for it. Now this is another important safety point here. You're going to add the caustic soda to the water. You're never going to add the water to the caustic soda. Now one way to remember it, you've got a lake and snow falls onto a lake. The lake never falls onto the snow. So we've got our lake here. We're going to let the snow fall into the lake. And we're going to start to stir it. Now here's where I stand a little bit back. I do not breathe over it. And I will stir it a bit. You will see it's very milky. And I'm going to stir it until I can hear no caustic soda crystals anymore. So now I'm just going to leave it stand back for about 20 seconds. During this 20 seconds, you will see your caustic soda will become clear. If there are tiny little white specks on it that looks like cloth lint, that is very normal for some of the caustic sodas that you will buy. This one actually dissolves very nicely. So I'm just going to stir this. I did not use the thermometer to show you the temperature increase. Okay, I had to run around to find one because I rarely use one. It is at 101 degrees Celsius. Now this started as room temperature. Oil's room temperature, it is 29 degrees Celsius. So from 29 degrees Celsius, we went up to nearly 100. Okay, it was 101. Now it already started to cool down, so I can't show it and whatever. So, but this is very hot. So what you're going to do now is you're going to add this very hot lye solution. When you know that there's no lye crystals in there anymore, and you're going to add it to your oil. There we go. And you're going to mix it in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my spatula. It's got a nice long handle here. It will not slip into the container. And I'm just going to stir this in. Now this is going to take some time. If you have a stick blender and you blend this mixture with a stick blender, it's most probably going to take you a few seconds to get it to trace. If you stir it by hand, this, depending on what kind of oil you are using or fat you are using, it can even take up to an hour or it can take longer. Now you don't need to stir it constantly. I like to stir it until I can see everything is melted in there. So I'm just going to close this container. And the other one, just that if it bumps over, then I know all the caustic soda is still in there. So yeah, this is how you make soap. Just joking. Well, not really. You're just going to keep on stirring this. You're going to stir this until it resembles a thin custard. Now with a thin custard, if you lift out your spoon, the oil and the water will not separate on it anymore. I'm going to show you a little bit later on the metal spoon. It will show up better on camera. Just get all this stuff out of the screen. As I say, my setup is not the same as I used to have it. I'm bumping the camera angle is a little bit different. But I think sort of it works kind of better for me. Okay, there we go. We still have a few tiny little pieces of tallow in here that's not melted yet. So I'm just gonna stir and make sure they are melting there. You don't need a thermometer, not for this method. I'm just going to show you here. Now it's 51 degrees Celsius. It started at 29. So 51 is actually a very nice temperature to soap at. There are many methods to make soap. You can have cold process, where they usually heat up the oil to about 45 degrees Celsius. Then they will do the lye and water mixture. They let it cool down to about 45 degrees Celsius. So they actually heat the oil and cool down the lye solution. Then you get the heat transfer method like I'm doing now here. You get a cold process oven process where they actually mix it in a cold process method, and then they're going to add it to, this is not going to work if I sit there. They do the cold process, and then after they pour it into the milk carton or your container that you want to pour your soap in, they put it in the oven at 60 degrees Celsius, and then they process it as a hot process further in the oven. And then you get hot process where they do exactly what I'm doing now, and they add it to a crock pot or a double boiler, and they add heat to it, and they actually cook it to get it faster through the saponification process. So there is a lot of different methods to make soap, so this is not the only one. So don't feel confused or alarmed if you see any other methods. This is my favorite one. The reason for it, I don't have to melt the oils. I don't need electricity or gas or anything to melt the oils and the fats. Yeah, it's just I don't need any equipment. I don't need to measure the temperatures of the oils and the lye solution when I add them together. If you heat your oils up and your lye solution is hot, then you need to take measurements. Otherwise, you can make it too hot and then you get a volcano. Now, volcano is also not as drastic as it sounds like. It's not erupting, but it will start to, you know, when you put something in the microwave and it starts to boil up, it just rises up in the container. That is what they call a volcano in soap making. And yeah, it's not a crisis here. It's nice and smooth now. So how long this is going to take, I don't have the slightest idea. I think what I maybe must do is I must take a timer and see and just speed this through. You're definitely not going to watch half an hour of me stirring here. Another thing, if you don't have a sit blender and you stir it like this, you don't need to stir it constantly. You can put your spoon down and you can go to the bathroom. Just make sure that there's no animals or children that's going to bump into it and spill it. So at this moment it's still very caustic. If it gets to your skin or onto your skin, it will irritate your skin. You will have time to wash it off. Your hands might be a little rough the next day, very dried out. But at this moment where it's mixed here with the oil, you should not have blisters if it touches your skin. But it's still going to damage your skin. And you know, there's unused lye still in here. So the moment when this comes in touch with your skin, it's going to start to saponify your natural oils in your skin as well, if you don't wash it off. So you're actually making soap in your own skin, which is not a good thing to do. You will age your skin and yeah, it just doesn't feel nice. The next day your hands feel like sandpaper. So I'm going to just keep stirring this every now and then. I will tell you how long this one takes. If you have coconut oil, 100% coconut oil soap, they actually do come to trace very quickly. I wonder if I'm going to catch this on camera. I'm just going to move this up and down. And now this one is not moving. There we go. We're going to stay there. Let's see if I can get this into a nice focus. There we go. And I took the autofocus off because it's jumping around terribly. There's my metal spoon. I wonder if I'm going to be able to show. It starts to look like lemon peel. You see there's little bumps and it's not a smooth. It looks lumpy and bumpy and it doesn't coat the spoon properly. So this is not emulsified yet. So the soap making term, we want to emulsify it. Emulsification is when the oil and the water is not splitting anymore. I don't know if you can see it in here. The camera is picking it up. You can see there's some oil streaks, oil and water streaks forming in here if you stop stirring it and start stirring it again. So you can see there's different colors there. It's very subtle. So that means it's not emulsified yet. Here on the spoon you can now easily see how it's just the water is splitting the oil still here. So we're just going to keep on stirring. It is now 15:30. So I think I'm going to give you guys a 15-minute break. I'm going to come back in, okay, I'm not going to come back in 15 minutes. I'm going to stir for 15 minutes and then I'm going to give you an update on what it looked like. As I say, if you've got a stick blender, this was emulsified already and ready to be poured into the container. But We are pretending we are in a rural area, no electricity, no stick blenders, just a wooden spoon maybe, and there we go. Okay, this is now about 10 minutes later. I can feel it is much thicker than 10 minutes ago. If I put the spoon in, can you see? It's much smoother, it doesn't split that easily, it covers the spoon a little bit faster, but we are not there yet completely. Can you see it starts to make those little spots, looks like little bumps, or actually it's more like little holes, but it looks like little bumps on a camera. Here you can see it starts to cover the spoon a little bit better. So it's definitely starting to thicken up here. So this is now after 10 minutes break that I gave you, plus I think we spoke about 5 to 7 minutes before that. So this is about at 17 minutes. I'm just going to keep stirring again, and then I will come back to you again. If not come back to you, I'm going to be here. I will get you into the picture again in 10 minutes time. This is still a little bit liquidy. It's very drippy still. So it doesn't really leave a little trace on it there. Very, very, very little bit. I can see it if I pull it like this, but I don't think it really shows up on camera yet. If I pull it, there's a little line for a moment there. There you can see the line. Can you see there? You can start to see it. So yeah, trace is happening now. So at this stage you can either keep on stirring it until it reaches a little bit thicker trace, or you can actually pour it into your container. I'm just going to keep on stirring it a little bit more. I'm going to show you I'm going to show you what thick trace looks as well. So this is what they will call a thin trace. It's still very thin. It does leave a little mark on the surface, but not much, or not for very long. Okay, this is about another 15 minutes later. Here you can see it's a medium trace. If you stir it, then it leaves a trace on top of it, and it's not moving into the batter anymore. So yeah, we've got soap. Now we just need to pour it in our mold. So I'm just going to use our mold carton here. Stir it a bit, and then carefully going to pour it in here. Just switch hands here. Try to move around the camera. You see, this is why I like the spatula, then I can scrape everything out. The spoon does work, but I like the spatula much better. Oops, sorry for that camera bump. Now this should give you 6 large soaps. So this will give you an idea how much soap to make for your family, because this is now cold processed soap. We've got the batter, we've got it in the container or in our mold. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave it for a moment. You can cover it, but this is actually quite warm. So it can, oh, pardon, my light just fell off. This has been a very long day today. This recording up to now, it's been going on for 4 hours. Pardon if I sound weary. It's not because I don't want to make the video. It's just I had to reshoot so many things. Then the camera is not working. Then the sound is not working. And then the cows next door are very upset and just overrides all of my audio. so this was a very eventful one. Okay, Last steps will be, you are going to let this stand for at least 24 hours. Depending on what oil you use. If you use only sunflower oil, this is going to have to stand for maybe 2 days or 3 days because it's going to be very soft and sticky. Now this one, because I added actually quite a bit of the tallow in here, and I know there's some coconut oil in my original mixture, this will set up within 24 hours for me. Then I'm just going to tear off the milk carton, and I'm going to cut it with a knife into 6 bars of soap. So I'm just going to leave this one now. I will come back to you tomorrow, literally come back to you tomorrow. Then we will unmold it, we will cut it, and then you have to leave it for 6 weeks to cure. Now that is the bummer with cold process soap. Actually, hot process soap, you can use it the next day, but it's always better if you leave it for 6 weeks. This is a little bit like wine. As it matures, it just gets better and better. I've got some soap here that is 4 years old. I've got some soap that is nearly 6 years old. Those are the best soaps in my house. I am very stingy with those. I only take them out when I want to spoil myself, because the older it gets, the better it is. Now for this recipe, because we might have a very high superfat, depending on what oils you put together, it might not last for 6 years or 4 years or so. But let it cure for 6 weeks. You can try it after 2 or 3 days. It's safe on your skin. It will not be caustic, but it's not going to foam as well as it's going to foam after 6 weeks. There's a lot of stuff that happens during the curing. The extra water is going to evaporate out of your soap. The soap is going to become harder, and there's a crystal structure that is going to start to form in your soap, and it's just going to improve. So you can try it after 2 or 3 days, because if it's your first soap, and those, just to have those bubbles on your hands, man, it's like a superpower. Love it. So yeah, you can definitely try it after 2 or 3 days, and then just let it cure for another 6 weeks, then try it again, then you will see it's much better. But I will see you tomorrow again. Okay, and we are back 24 hours later. This is a very scientific test to know if your soap is ready. You press it with your finger. It is firm and it's not sticky, then it is most probably ready to unmold. So as I said before, depending on what kind of oils you use, if you have a lot of soft oils in your recipe, then it might take a little bit longer. And if you have a lot of hard oils, if you just use, for example, 100% tallow, then you will most probably want to unmold it within 4 hours and cut it within 4 hours while it is still warm. Because if you wait any longer, it's going to be rock hard and nearly impossible to unmold it. So with this one, I can see it's still a little bit sticky, but we're just going to go ahead anyway. I don't know if it shows on camera. It's a little bit soft still on the side. So I could have waited a little bit longer. At this stage, you can stop if it's like this and just leave it for another 12 hours or so. This is the problem. If you unmold too early, then some of it might stick to your mold and some of your soap might come off. But yeah, here we go. Side. As you can see, there it's still a little bit soft. Some of it came back, and I'm just gonna smoosh it back into shape there. At this stage, it's a little bit like clay, and I think this is part of the milk carton thing. It can't really lose any of its moisture while it's in here. So if you go into more soap making stuff, this is actually a way to make soap clay, is to just keep your stuff covered without air being able to come into contact with your soap, and yeah, then you can make soap clay as well. So you can actually still braid this. If you leave it open to the air, then it will turn hard and become much more firmer. Let me just see if I've got a better background here. This poor soap is just... This poor soap is getting lost in the white background, so let's do this. Okay, and all that you need is a knife, and then you're going to cut it into slices, and there is our first lovely piece of soap. Man, I can't believe that this is not formulated with much more care. This is such a lovely texture. So yeah, just gonna finish cutting this. Right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, actually 8 soaps. Let's just have a look out of curiosity. To 0. It's taking its time today. There we go. Now this is the thinnest one, 101 grams, 111, 142. I think there's another 157. So yeah, we've got quite a bit of soap here. Now this is another way that you can actually, while you cure your soap, try to see if it is done curing. If you add your whole batch to the scale and you write down your starting weight. Now we've got 1.03 kilogram or 1033 grams of soap here. So it will start to lose weight as it loses water. And when it stops losing weight, then you know what, most of the water evaporated and it's most probably ready for use. But as I said before, it's like wine. The more you let it mature, the better it can be. So, and that is all there is to making soap. I hope it was easy and useful. I'm gonna show you a few pictures of the soaps that I made when I was busy developing the recipe and testing it. You will see there's quite a bit of colored soaps. I've got 2 different green ones. Then I've got one that is a maroon color. Now what happened there is I had some bottles of oil that I infused herbs in it. So the one was plantain that I infused into the, and another one was stinging nettle. And the purple one, interesting enough, was avocado pip that I grated and then dried and just added it to the oil, and the oil didn't even color. It was just clear coconut oil, and when I started making soap, it became this really maroon red color. So yeah, I hope this is going to help you and that you're going to enjoy soap making.